happy early Labor Day weekend to everybody. We are super excited to be celebrating. I'm coming to you straight from Arkansas. Super, super happy to be here and starting our new journey together. And hopefully you get to come along with us. And it's going to be an exciting one. We had a big, exciting meeting yesterday, 4 hours, 4-hour-long meeting that we got to be a part of in the president's cabinet meeting. And they were dropping bombs right and left. Apparently, this is going to be the first Labor Day. The first Labor Day. I wonder why Vance said that. I'll tell you what I think about it right after this, and we'll see what Skullcap thinks about it as well. So join us, jump in the live chat. I'll have your comments streaming right in a little box over here while we play along and see what you guys think about it too. So like and share the video, and we'll be right back with Vsteg with Skullcap right after this. So good to see you again, my friend. Welcome back. Welcome back.
Hey there. I was doing the dramatic turn for effect. How's everybody doing?
Oh, it's turn. Good. We're getting moved in and settled and recovering with red light therapy and prednisone.
Oh, yeah.
Not necessarily.
All the good stuff.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad to have you back into a chair, at least. Maybe it's best that you ease your back into something where you're sitting more than you're standing while you unpack.
As long as I'm not lifting. All the lifting is like, I'm over it. I gotta tell you. But
well, I'm just looking forward to when our schedules can coincide, is what I'm trying to say, for more consistent weekly schedule. Sorry, it's been sporadic, everyone. Either her or I, she or I either have this or that. It just comes up last minute, it seems, when we try and schedule them.
It should be better from this point forward. I should be a lot more stable from this point forward. So
yeah,
I'm looking forward to getting back to my old streaming schedule and being able to catch everybody. Because I love when our community can be in the live chat and participate as well. So that's a big, important part for me. So,
well, we're getting to the end of the summer, and we started off the summer with saying it would be significant between the June 1st and the August 31st bookend dates. And that brings us right up to the edge of Labor Day, like you mentioned in the intro. So,
well, and I wanted to mention, I just saw something pop through that I just for a little tidbit, just a little bit of history that, Lady Di's accident was on August 31st. And so, they do love to use all those rituals days and all that kind of stuff. So wouldn't be surprised if something didn't play into that August 31st into Labor Day as well.
And then Hurricane Katrina, I thought that was the case. August 23rd to August 31st was Hurricane Katrina also.
Wow. Okay. That's big.
We haven't really had any hurricanes yet, have we?
There was one off the coast called Aaron, which
I saw that
the
one.
Same name as during the hurricane that was off the coast during 9/11.
Oh yeah, the one that just disappeared without a trace and nobody knew anything about.
Yeah.
Judy Wood, I think, theorized correctly that whatever the space weapons were that took down the two towers had to harness the energy from somewhere.
That's okay. I wasn't going to bring this up, but since you mentioned
it. So the idea would be that somehow the space lasers that defragmented and destroyed the twin towers from the inside out had to use the hurricane's energy to suck up somehow. I don't know how that would work, but that was what she was theorizing. If you can somehow transfer that amount of power, it would certainly disappear the hurricane too.
Oh
But the weirdest thing about that hurricane is it wasn't headed off the coast. It's not like it turned away from the coastline. It was barreling toward the coastline and disappeared on its way in. It got as close as 6 miles in or something like that.
I got signed out of X, so I may not be able to get back in.
Oh, did you have something you wanted to share?
Yeah. Let me see if I can get back in.
Jeez Louise. This 2-factor authentication stuff, I tell you.
This account being added is already logged in.
But it just won't pop up with X when you bump in there. It says you're signed out.
It says I'm already logged in somewhere.
You can't be signed in more than one machine on X? That's bizarre.
And I'm not. Oh, gosh. Do not ever let your children get on your computer.
Did he save a bunch of YouTube videos that are
I
irrelevant
don't
to
know
your
what he
life?
did, but oh my gosh. No, I cannot. I don't have time to fix it. Anyway, there's chili. Oh, I think I have a screen grab of it.
Even if you could just get on, you think that you can get on X and just do a search term for it inside and find the post?
I'm so irritated right now. I can't even see straight.
I'm sorry.
I'm just, it doesn't help that I'm in pain, but I'm also just really irritated. Okay. Now it says from my computer. Share screen. Just let me share this. Please just do what I say. Much better if you just let me do what I say. Okay, here we go. They have, this is kind of from, if you guys have watched the last interview I did with Ken from C60, he was talking about hydrogen and moxie fusion and all this, and that they're able to create, him and a buddy were one of the first ones to do it, and now other people are doing it, but they're able to create the basically free energy from the water that's in the air, hydrogen. And one of the driest deserts on earth in Chile, they just created hydrogen without a single drop of liquid water because they pulled the water that's in the air and they made hydrogen energy in a desert.
Yeah, they separated the atomic structure somehow, and there you go.
There you go. So to your point, we have free energy from water in the air of the desert, the driest desert. So
there's free energy methodologies everywhere you look.
Yeah, all around us. So sorry, I got distracted there with my frustration, but we're good.
Well, the point being is, okay, we've got some, back to the thread that you were mentioning, you know, Princess Di dying on the 31st. What's the anniversary? It was 97 that she died. Is that what year it was?
I don't know. I
think it might have been 97. I don't know why I think that, but I think that's correct. We can easily look it up with the search engine. I'm just tempted to, you know, like, the chat will probably correct me if I'm wrong. So that's an interesting marker. Plus, you know, if anybody cares to go back and watch the original videos of why Lisa and I denotated June 1st and August 31st as bookends, it had to do with my steganography methodology of decoding comics specifically to reflect what's going on in the world in front of us, alongside some pretty key insights that she found with JFK Jr., his favorite Timex watch, a key museum called the Intrepid in New York, and the time rituals that we see all involving the number 88 in the numerology sense. So this might all be connected somehow in that. If we were speculating on time rituals, calendar rituals, we have the 31st being a key deadline because that was actually when the comic book series that we were looking at ended, had to do with the launch date of the Intrepid Museum. We've got Princess Di, and then Labor Day right afterward on September 1st. That doesn't always happen where we have Labor Day literally on September 1st, you know? But that's kind of the setup. Go back and watch all that if you want the context further, because we don't have time to go back through all of it, but there's your little guideline. How do you think the 88th, you showed that to me today, Lisa, what do you think the significance of this is?
Just there's there's so many things. So to me, this is like a gut thing, a qualia, you know, the universe speaking to me kind of thing. I'm in Arkansas now. There's a huge there's Fort Chaffee here. There's a tiny little airport here that that has a huge long runway, and they're actually moving it into, they're going to make it an international airport, and it's going to be run by the military. They're moving in 900 families, military Air Force families.
I wonder if this is going to be like a Men in Black type airport. You know how in the movie Men in Black, they have like
I guess in the history of the United States, our airlines weren't always private. They actually were run by the military at some point. And so maybe that's the way we're going to go back to. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what happens. But, and I thought this was interesting that these are chaplains united for a day, sharing best practices and engaging in insightful briefings to better serve our airmen. So this was the 88th Wing and the 89th Wing. To me, this was just another 88.
Something to be considered as it unfolds, kind of a thing, because it might have a lot more impact in the future if it ends up being some special kind of an airport, like you're saying.
Isn't that either a B-2 or a F-35?
Yeah, it's an F-35.
Yeah, so that's an F-35 behind them, which is the.
Or wait, hold on.
I don't know what it is. These are B-2 or an F-35.
Trying to see the hallmark on the side of. Hold on.
If anybody knows in the chat.
See I think it's an F-35 and. Well, actually, yeah, it's an F-35. It doesn't have big enough vents on the side or big enough tail wings to be an F-22.
Mission readiness and partnerships is the hashtag. Thought that was interesting as well. And then when I was driving here on Tuesday, there was, whoops, that's not it. Hope I'm not going the wrong way. This was the cabinet meeting that took place that was 14 hours long, that I want to discuss several of the things, some key things that were mentioned about Labor Day coming up, and Vance saying this is our first Labor Day, and that we're taking. Yep. And several of them said, you know, it's really important that we're taking Labor Day back, that it shouldn't be a Democrat Labor Day. And I was like, I never thought about Labor Day being recognized by the Demos or the Republican Party. But then one of them said, we're taking Labor Day back for the Republic Party. Well, did he mean taking it back for the Republic? And then there was also something really strange that Trump said about Jay Clayton being in his first administration. And I was like, what? I was like, no, Jay Clayton was under Obama. So what are you talking?
What were the years though?
I'd have to look it up. I just know that he was nominated by or brought in by Obama, and that Gensler was under
Jay Clayton.
So maybe
he was definitely Trump. He was SEC commissioner from, that's what I thought, 2017 to 2020.
Okay.
Well, so that's definitely Trump, you know.
Okay.
He was the
So
bonehead that was always like, because that's what I thought. He was always the bonehead talking about like, oh, well, my daughter told me that I needed to get into crypto, so I guess I have to listen to my daughter. You know, it was like this. It's like this act that he always put on stage, like, oh, I'm hesitant, but you know, we'll have to look into this cool new hip stuff called crypto.
these were the vehicles that I was seeing, and I've got several pictures, but when I was driving my son back on Tuesday, and I don't know if you can see this, but it says go, and well, you can't see it. It says go Monday.
Go Monday. The other headlight says Monday.
No, right above this Monday, or maybe it's
Oh,
blurry.
there's like
You
a
can't see
sticker
it,
on there that
it's
says
too
Monday.
blurry, but it says Monday. And I don't know if that means this coming Monday go, but then and this I will have to pull up on X or Twitter. But there was just, or maybe I put it in my Telegram for everybody. There was just some big arrests today. The FBI raided JIMM or IJJM, some big mega church in
Oh
Houston.
yeah, I saw that shit. I
Yeah,
saw that.
this
JMMI.
okay, JIM. Yeah, whatever. I can't do the letters, but they used those same kind of vehicles for the raid. So, are we getting ready to have the big arrest weekend?
I want to see Joel Osteen get tossed. That'd be the defining moment with the mega churches.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
Here we go. Let me share this.
That'd cause some people's heads to spin. What? Joel Osteen's a pedo? You know.
Well, especially because they're Bill Pulte is talking about mortgage fraud, and that a lot of times mortgage fraud is linked with tax fraud, allegedly. And
Imagine that.
if so, well, could these
FBI raids are going to be where they are for a long time. When we get out of the shot,
could these churches, possibly be doing something, bad with their mortgages or their taxes?
Well, there's the opportunity for the mega churches to launder money is immense because they're getting a bunch of tax-free money in donations, charitable donations, offering plate.
What if they say they have multiple primary residents or like that? Lisa could.
So, I mean, I think they're just finally cracking down on where it's going, because it's easier to hide your nefarious activity in monies that aren't getting taxed, because you don't owe the records of your pass through of funds to an auditing authority of any sort.
Mm-hmm.
If you've got that religious exemption, you've got the religious exemption. Who are you reporting it to? Nobody. So since you're not reporting it, where's there's immense opportunity to take advantage of the situation. You see, and it's easy to see how over many decades the heads of these churches have become con men because of it. At very least, just at the funding level. We're just talking about the pass-through of funds.
Well, and a lot of these churches, it's not just the pastor. There's a leadership team. It's a well-oiled machine and monster. I do want you guys to listen to this, because he says that people are walking out in handcuffs. So this is not just like when we see these raids that, they took some paper and nothing happened and no one's going to jail. So let me play this real quick.
Operation here. It's operated by David E. Taylor. He calls himself an apostle online. He has several locations in Michigan, Florida, here in Houston. And we also have been told, and we also confirmed with our partners in Tampa Bay, that another location was raided this morning. In a few seconds, you'll see some video overhead, or some ground video of federal agents and local police at a location, actually a mansion that's tied to JMMI, but it's also under a different name, Kingdom of God Global Church. But it all, according to the website, has ownerships by the same person, which is David E. Taylor. And that's in a prominent neighborhood. That's over in the Avila neighborhood, if you're familiar with the Tampa area. Pretty large, affluent community out there. But there's still a lot of information that we're waiting on. We're waiting to see who it was that they were picking up. We're also waiting to hear what kind of condition they were in. Because in the middle of seeing people getting taken out of this property, some in handcuffs, some not, we actually saw one woman walking really slowly, looks to not be in great shape, walking out of this location. She was not handcuffed. She was guided by the hand by plainclothes officers. So we're still trying to get a grasp of what type of investigation, what type of information we're going to get. As soon as we get something from the Houston FBI field office, we'll of course let you know. Back to you.
I like how he's very diplomatic about describing the woman that was coming out and really trying hard not to say just fatty boom batty. You know, he's like, well, there's this very a larger woman guided out on her own power, but you know, clear maybe handicapped. It's just
Very interesting.
yeah, it is interesting. Sorry for the comedic, you know, overtone to the end of it there. I just couldn't help myself. It was funny. I think they're going to see more of it. Yeah. There's an underbelly to that whole industry. It's disgusting. And this is part of that whole, the religious upturning that's always been in Cliff's data where, you know, there wouldn't be any basis to have faith in the religious construct at some level. And it was going to be this big rift, you know, it's going to be tough for people to come to grips with, especially Bible Belt folk.
But I think that brings people back to more, you know, the community group thing, like the way the church was, what I believe to be intended was like meeting in small groups and community, you know, if it really fixes a lot of things where peer-to-peer meeting in our homes, breaking bread, you know, and that's how then we don't need the big government having foster care or whatever where and kids get hurt because it's, you know, well, our taxes pay that and we don't have to care about children in our community because the government's going to take care of that. And, you know,
we're just growing them as crops anyway to sell to the foster system.
Right.
You know,
I mean, then we really are in community and we care about the family that's struggling in our community, and we get around them and help the single mom that's, you know, needs somebody to bring some groceries, cut her lawn, you know, help her, you know, with those things, you know, instead of just thinking we can throw money at these things. We do the things to support the community and be the church.
Look at you, the converted agorist.
Well, I've been it. I've lived it my whole life. I just didn't know what it was called. You know, I mean, so.
Yeah, it's real important. I mean, especially even the schoolhouse, the old schoolhouse model with multiple ages in the same room, so that they can foster mentorship and other things along the way that are more important to the learning process than rote memorization.
Yeah, for sure.
We'll get back there to some degree. The tribal groups, 140 or so people that glom together. You know, it's just natural.
It was so great. Earlier today, you know, Charlie and I were working on some stuff, unpacking and building shelves and whatever. And I come in and Cannon's reading to Mom about Dolly Madison and whatever his project was or whatever today. And Mom's helping him with stuff. You know what I mean? And I'm thinking like, man, we've gone so far away from what community, how great family is and how wonderful it is, like how much he's going to benefit from us being here and having my mom's influence. And she was explaining, like, he's reading the story, but it just sounds like words to him. And he's like, why did those people not, you know, when she's telling him to go outside or go get out of the big city, you know, whatever. And why does this why does the story say this? And and Mom explained, well, because they're like normies and they don't want to give up their comfort. They don't want to give up their homes for freedom. They don't want to give up their safe little home. They're scared to give up their home for freedom. So they'll just sit in their home, and then they're going to be trapped and stuck, and they're actually going to be in more danger, So she's explaining it to him, and all of a sudden the story makes so much more sense, than he's just reading words on a page,
Yeah.
So it's really cool to see, what the growth that community brings, so, and the value of all that. So anyway, I digress. But I did want to mention that a couple more things from the cabinet meeting. And I know when we talk about this early, then
the whole tie-in with Labor Day seems to be of some significance, as you're arguing. Yes.
Yeah. So the Department of Labor secretary said, she made a comment that everyone in the cabinet meeting, she either said was on or had been on in the Department of Labor. And, I picked up on Trump making that EO and moving us to a merit-based system, getting rid of DEI was a significant thing. It wasn't about, getting rid of purple hair and all that. It was moving us to a merit-based system, and proof of work, or proof of productive effort, as Reggie calls it. But there were also, which I have another conspiracy theory about all that, but I will save that probably for my Patreon, because I can't really prove that. It's really just my conspiracy on that. But he was talking about, so labor is effort, right? And I really feel like this, when Vance said this is our first, go watch that and listen to, he says our first Labor Day. And then they're all making this big deal about how they're reclaiming Labor Day for the Republic Party. And it was just really bizarre that they were in this 4-hour cabinet meeting where they're all talking about this stuff, and they're all saying, all this stuff around it.
The entire thing was televised, or just the beginning, like introductory statements and all that kind of stuff?
The whole thing. You just have to find which. Some of the channels only did parts of it, but there is I listened to the whole entire thing. I think on Right Side Broadcasting was the entire thing, because I was driving, so I was perfect opportunity. I listened to the entire thing, and I have that thing. No, you're fine. I have that thing where, after being with a compulsive liar, I listen to what people say and what they don't say, and so I'm really pick up on language. And
well, let's talk about why the significance of Labor Day, I think, might tie into some of the
that Vsteg that we were
steganography. Yeah. So in order of appearance, I just shared a couple of links. So you could put up on screen, maybe one at a time. Yeah. These are just links of videos I did back when I was in 2021 decoding the aftermath of the reset ritual. Who's Shanna Marion reposted this stream? Oh,
thank you for reposting.
There you go. Because you couldn't get into your X account, so somebody else picked up the slack.
Thanks.
So you see what I'm talking about? Look at the title of the video.
Yeah. I love it.
Okay, so I was getting cute with the thumbnails a little bit, but the point is that there was some other things in the comics at the time. If you guys haven't noticed a theme with some of the work that I point to, there's this grander, weird programmatic plan that shows itself through the annals of the comic book, specifically Batman, as it relates to the Vsteg. And we were talking then about the reset of year zero. And if anybody's been in the woo community, probably know what I mean when the year zero stuff was coming about. And it was even then that we really ramped up with the secrets revealed and the aliens, and we were going to be seeing this stuff soon. So the themes were then, and the argument that I was making then was that we wouldn't see any of these revealings until a particular Labor Day, and I didn't know which one it would be. I just knew that all the signs for the rituals were pointing to the fact that it would feel like a late labor by the time it got here. Meaning if you were carrying a baby around, you'd want to get rid of the thing because it's just like, this thing's I feel like 2 years overdue on this thing kind of thing. And sure enough, here we are, 2025, 4 years later, and we're now only maybe resolving what I was pointing to back then with the late labor.
Mm-hmm.
So the long Halloween was an aspect that maybe we'll see coming up in October. Dog ear that term for yourselves, because we might come back to it at that point.
Yeah.
But that kind of lines up, weirdly enough, with what we're experiencing right now with this 3-eye Atlas object in the air, the October timeframe for that. We're still talking about a lot of echoes of reset. I think this cabinet meeting that you're pointing to is still an echo of the reset agenda.
Speaking
trying to transition us, right?
Speaking of reset, another comm that was thrown out there was Roseanne Barr just posted, check out my new RV, and it was blacked out. RV revaluing, and it was
it wasn't a remote viewing. It was
no, I think that means revaluing. Like the revaluing is coming.
I remember that vernacular from the Nasara stuff.
Yeah.
That's what they say over in the Nasara crowd.
Yeah, is the revaluing. So that was all blacked out. And so I think that's maybe, and remember the Fed always said they need a 3-day holiday.
Well, that's certainly what Bix has always argued. Has it really been the Fed that does that? Like, I think Bix he's really pointed to that heavily, that he suspects that if there's going to be something like that, it would be on a 3-day weekend, right?
If this Lisa Cook chick gets fired, so the term, the thing about Trump being able to fire someone from the Fed is that there's an agreement that if the Fed person loses trust, the America's trust, then the president would be able to fire them or whatever. And because the way the structure that the Fed is set up, it was set up so that other countries would trust the American dollar, because they keep saying, if you listen to the news and all this, they keep talking about how, it needs to be independent. We need a Federal Reserve that's independent of the U.S. It has to have independent. It can't be, tied to the U.S. It can't be that Trump can fire them or whatever. But there is an agreement, and and the way that it's stated is that if they lose, if it loses the American people's trust, well, if she has this fraud or whatever, well, then the other chair people have been saying that, well, wait, if he can fire her, then what could happen to all of us? Well, why would they say that unless they have all done something fraudulent? Well, think about, they are a fiduciary of our money, and look what they've done with printing it. So have they been a good fiduciary? We all know the answer is no. So if we looked at it, that could be a trigger to all of the board being fired and or the Fed going away, which would destroy the Fed note, but not the U.S. Treasury.
Well, what did you see Trump also talking about? I think it was, he wants to bring back the $500 note, the $1,000 note, the $10,000 note.
But those could be Treasury notes.
Well, that's what I know. But I know, and exactly
the American Eagle stuff is going around, and that's so we met this amazing guy, and he started talking about how, why when you hear BLM, why they were doing Black Lives Matter was to mask what they were really doing with the Bureau of Land Management to Bix and Oz and all this, Road to Ruta, the stuff going on in the Grand Canyon, all that. Well, I think this American Eagle noise that we have going on right now, where they're got everybody talking about American Eagle and this girl's genes and all this, is because they're talking about maybe our genes, our DNA genes, whatever, I don't know. Or maybe it's the genes of the silver coins of the American eagles. Like Bix was talking about the crystalline structure of the DNA of the American eagles. Maybe it's to, obfuscate the language of what's really going on with that, to create the new notes. I don't know, but that could be one thing that's happening.
Well, I found the article just now and dropped it right at the bottom.
Cool.
And if it is what's happening, this might be part of it, because this is a pretty recent thing that they were talking about just last year. And now Trump has taken the football with this and talked about it himself recently. But this was back when it started, like, oh, we'll put Trump's face on the $500 bill. This was last summer. And then now this summer, he wasn't even president again yet when this was kind of being discussed. But now Trump brings up the fact that he wants to bring back all the bills that FDR took away. And FDR, let's see. I think FDR...
Doing the same thing over and over again is different, expecting a different result is good. I agree with that. That's why I'm constantly in timeout. I don't do.
So yeah, it was 500,000, 5,000, and 10,000. Those were bill denominations that you can get before FDR took them away after the Great Depression in 1933. Part of the whole gold revaluation bullshit. So part and parcel to that whole gold revaluation bullshit, FDR took all those denominated bills out of circulation, so 100 was the maximum. And Trump is now maybe going to bring back 500 with his face on it, then 1,000. And then I think part of the problem is who's on the $1,000 bill. I think it was Ulysses S. Grant or something like that. Hold on. 1,000. Whose face was on Okay, so William McKinley, there it is. Fuck. I didn't know this, but there's a hit. There's a Vsteg hit right there,
Yep,
Lisa. Holy shit. There's our William McKinley thread. God damn.
We've been talking about that.
Okay, so everybody, that's just, I'm going to have to do a whole...
That's Denali. That's the changing McKinley.
Well, it's that, and it's the assassination. It was the assassination attempt that was tied to Trump's staged one in Butler. I need to do that. I need to break down and just do the William McKinley presentation at some point. I just keep finding shit. So anyway, $500, William McKinley. Trump's been talking about, remember, taking McKinley's personage into this presidency. So that would be crazy if he actually donned the $500 bill brought back that was originally McKinley's face. Everybody needs to recognize what William McKinley was doing money-wise with the Silver Sherman Act and the Gold Standard Act prior to the turn of the century, back in 1898 and 1899. You know, he was assassinated in the second into the World's Fair Expo. The tariffs, the tariff president, the World's Fairs, exotic technologies, guys. This is when the airship mystery got quashed. Back when we were originally building anti-gravity devices, back before we got fed the Wright brothers bullshit about like, this is the only way that you can fly. There were airships flying around experimentally that were based out of here in the Sonoran Desert, down in the Southwest. It's part of the whole Grand Canyon mystery. Again, another show, but recognize that as we were live here on screen, like this McKinley hit, this is very much part of the thread that we're going down and is responsive to maybe this cabinet meeting. If there is a tie to this revaluation of the currency, will they bring back these dollars? So what do you think, Lisa? What do you think about
that's
this?
really interesting because so Sean and I were looking into the Organic Act.
Yeah.
1871 that created DC, you know, and all that. And then this McKinley thing follows not too far.
Buffalo is a major city to the exotic technology department of the United States.
Seeing buffaloes everywhere. And I had a dream the other night about buffalo and 41.
Oz is 41, by the way, 41 and 14.
Okay, there you go. I couldn't figure it out. I was like, what is 41? 41. Buffalo.
It's Oz. Anytime you see 41 or 14, even together, it's actually tied up in the Osiris mythology at that level. Also, we need to get into it here, but Osiris is 14 body parts, the 14th being the phallus that was the last part to be found. This is all part of the mystery of refinding that dignity, that connection to source, you know, breaking the spell of Oz, the mind control aspect of it. So the money has always been what incentivizes us to stay in it, you know, to stay in the stream.
Yeah. But that is why that's the 4D. That's what steals our energy. But we comply to it. We walk into the cage.
Yeah.
You know, and put our energy in it. I was supposed to do an interview with Penny Kelly last week, and then because of the move, I just totally got my schedule got off and everything's changed, and I apologize to everybody, and we're going to reschedule. And but that's what we were going to talk about was the 4D, jumping to the 5D, and the you know, the trick and the magic trick, and how they've tricked us to submit our energy and change it walk into the trap of money, and how all money is human trafficking and all of that. And
it's certainly the legal currency of a certain type of gentleman who likes to rub his hands together and has a long snout, you know.
Yeah.
There's a whole dark underbelly that's still coming out with the Jews.
And I didn't realize that usury is like one of the original sins, and that created this market or gap in free markets because of it being a sin. And so the Belgians, we'll call them, filled that market, and that is that's what caused all this. And I don't know, it was just very interesting to me, hearing about a lot of that kind of stuff and waking up to that, and that interest, it was one of the original sins, and that's culturally, and that's why they pray to the 4D, Saturn, and
that's the Templars. The Templars had a usury-free banking system. It was flat fee. If you just paid it when you stored the money, and you withdrew it at your leisure, you know. But it was actually useful because the movement of money was encrypted. Did you know that the Templars kind of invented blockchain? I actually argue the Templar invention. Wow. So here's the story. The Cathars, right, are how Cliff talks about the Orlinda people. Well, the Orlinda people were connected in the Cathars with the Templars. There a lot of Cathars were in the Templar order, let's say, right? It was that kind of a crossover, and so the Templars had a membership of people that were very ontology focused, and they understood karma very deeply. They understood the cosmos very deeply, and they were not the same people as the Jesuits and everybody that get that people wrap themselves up around, because they often look at the methodologies and the mystical arts as being evil across the board, where, you know, it's just look at a movie. You can look at a sorcerer or a wizard, and the wizard's always portrayed as the good guy, and the sorcerer is always portrayed, but they're wielding the same medium of magic, right? So the Templars, though, they're very thoughtful about a lot of things. They had an order of monks at some point called the Cistercian monks, and the Cistercian monks were very charitable, and they were a sect of the Templars that was interfacing with the people. They weren't the ones that were doing the crusading and the archaeology, and they had a different mission in the countryside to take care of the communities, right? Mm-hmm. And one of the things that I think the crown at the time would write your taxes off with is if you donated land to the Cistercian order. Mm. So the Cistercian order, being as they were, took in a bunch of really crappy land and knew how to convert it. This is how the Cistercian order and the Templars and the Cathars also, like, they're brilliant with agriculture. They can take shitty land and convert it into well producing land just by putting sheep on it for 4 seasons. You know, you can harvest the wool and have product to trade. But you're simple people. You're a monk. You're there for a charitable existence with the people anyway. And any money that you accumulate is just going to go back to the cause, right?
Right.
So eventually, the tax write-offs from the kingdom and the massive amount of wealth accumulation, eventually just by being charitable, that the Templars and the Cistercian order had amassed from their exploits in archaeology and everything. They were going and bringing riches back from the archaeology missions too. They were a very, very rich establishment, and they decided to start lending it out. Like, what are we going to do with this? We're a charity, but let's start a banking system, right? And so they started being able to encrypt money, hard money, gold and hard assets, that's all you had at the time, across long distances by offering banking services that transited it. So here's how it worked. So say that you had an enclave of Templars in Damascus or something, and you needed to transit money across the Silk Road, and you needed to go to Persia somewhere, right? Like across the desert. It's dangerous out there. There are bandits. There's a lot of danger out on the road. You can't just haul a bunch of gold. If you're going to put payment on something, say you're buying a land deed or a property, or you owe a debt or whatever, it doesn't matter. You could put massive amounts of gold, considerable amounts of gold in debt, maybe to somebody that you had do, in a military campaign. You paid them money to fight alongside you in battle. Who the fuck knows, right? So you as a client would contact the Templar banking system and say, I need the money transmitted across the desert. And here's how they would do it. They would go to the bank, they would pay the fee, and the Templars would write up a note. And the note would be a pretty creatively written thing. They were like, okay, so they'd look at the courier service because they had to get the message across the desert somehow. So they had to use a person to do it. But they would enlist the courier of whatever variety it is, and they would fit a profile, right? And so, maybe he's the hunter profile, and he's going to cross the desert, or maybe he's the merchant profile. You had these guys in disguise that they would have as their couriers, and they would write basically a bunk sales report or something, right? So if you were the merchant, the Templar bank might give their courier a sales report that had an encrypted message within it. Like a key phrase. The average onlooker, if you're a bandit, you're going to look at this report, and it's just going to be a list of inventory goods that they might be carrying, right? So I don't need this fucking piece of crap, but you're not carrying anything valuable, and they'd leave you alone. That was the idea. So you brought the note intact to the bank at the other side. They knew how to decrypt it, and they knew based on how much, because there would be other clues based in there. There would be an amount maybe that they were owed. And so the bank would have to decrypt the amount, and then they would just take the money out of the bank at the destination point in the vault right behind them and give it to them. Wow. And that's how the Templar banking system worked. Isn't it crazy?
That's wild. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really cool. Yeah.
A lot of people, would do well to go back and look at how it really all started. I think the Templars, I use that evidence as maybe a key understanding to suggest that Templars were involved greatly in the design of blockchain and Bitcoin, right? There's a lot of other cases I can generate.
It really is. And that, to me, that is more evidence. It's speech, it's code, it's language, and the post office sending a message, exchanging value through a messaging system.
I've always argued we don't actually know everything the post office does, because it could be encrypted at a lot of different levels that just go right over our heads, operating down here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It could already be in existence and we just don't even know.
The Empire State Building could still be the headquarters transmitting the signal, you know, like it's the antenna for the whole network and the Earth grid control. You know, who the hell knows, Lisa? It could be as crazy.
Yeah. I love watching their tweets. You know,
I know you do. There's a reason that you're tuned into it, and it keeps providing insight.
Remember when all those patents came out from the U.S. Post Office? Postal Service? Gosh, that was around the time that Trump's NDAA came out in 2020, December of 2020. Around the same time, 60,000 patents or something were released from the U.S. Postal Service. I'm sure it's nothing. Yeah.
No, probably not.
I love it. I love all of it. All right. I got to go pretty soon. Do you want to hit on anything else before we?
I want to tie it up just with the end of the summer ritual here that we started with. Again, go back and watch the beginning of the summer rituals that Lisa and I decoded, guys. It has to do with a Wolverine video, the very first Wolverine comic in existence, the Intrepid Museum in '88 as the marker that the time ritual is in play, with the Oz beats, the Wizard of Oz being the theme of the mind control around us. Okay. This is why I always argue with the Vsteg, and I like to at least wrap it up to show the point in the meaning that I'm seeing, and why I would argue that these events are all connected, as silly as it sounds, comic book narratives. But click on the second video that you didn't see, Lisa, the one below the first Rumble one I selected. This is this. If anybody wants some context in further detail about the Labor Day rituals, watch these two videos on my channel. You saw Lisa put the other one up. It was called the Late Labor Ritual. And this one's the next one I did in the series. Late Labor in year one confirmed. The vernacular I was using back then, again, was year 0, year 1, year 2, meaning 2020, 21, 22. And I do think that there is an ultimate reset component to the calendar that the Templars and maybe some other entities have engineered through the deconstruction and the deciphering of all of this theater that we're living through. And this is the point, guys, is it's conveyed in the very media that you're broadcast to every day. And if you see it, like we are trying to help you see it, to decipher through things like this, whether this was even planned or not. The qualia is pretty hilarious. When I sent this to Lisa right before,
I love it.
We have a lot of culminating events coming up that have gotten us through the Q period of time, I'll say. And that might be really, Lisa, like we were kind of speculating when this theater all began. It might have been right there at that Las Vegas shooting, is what I've always argued, is when this current play began. So if you can suspend disbelief enough to watch those couple videos, click the eBay link below it so you can look at the comic that's coming out on September 17th.
Stop.
No, I'm not. Click it. Click that eBay link in the chat.
Hold on.
Because it shows this is the comic that we were just howling about.
Where's the eBay link?
It's in
I see it.
One.
Yeah. Okay.
The reason this is an eBay link, guys, is because this comic isn't out yet, and comic book stores pre-sell limited run issues of things. And I found the image of this comic that's being released on the 17th, being for sale. Okay, so look, there's a crossover series of Batman and Deadpool, and the Deadpool and look at Wolverine on the friggin' cover to go right alongside the suppositions we were making with these bookends. August 31st turns over to Labor Day real quickly thereafter, and we're going to find out, I think, what the Vsteg was showing us back 5 years ago, when I was saying there would be a late labor ritual that culminated in something eventually. And it might be this year, just for the very fact that if you look at this comic, you see a very clear V in the negative space in between Batman and Wolverine as they're looking up at you. Not only that, Lisa.
Even they make V's. Yeah.
Yeah.
With their body shapes. Yeah.
Exactly. And then if you look at the characters themselves, if you look outside the negative space, the characters are oriented in the letter Z, like Lisa likes to point to with her JFK Jr. Notes with the Z stug.
Yeah.
So there's something afoot with what we're probably going to experience as it relates to Labor Day and some of the themes that, if you watch those videos I did 5 years ago, you'll get more context on. It's stranger than fiction, as they say. But if anybody is going to believe the comic book decode, it's the Road to Ruta crossover crowd here. So, you know, it's bizarre.
I love all of it. All right. Well,
McKinley and Trump are at the heart of where it points to.
It's crazy. It's so crazy. Well, I hope everybody has a wonderful, fruitful Labor Day weekend, and take care. We'll see what fleshes out.
Yeah, we'll be in what do you say? Reflection mode on whatever transpired by this time next week. So
we'll see. All right, you guys take care. Thanks for being patient with me during this move, and I appreciate it. And I appreciate you all being here in the live chat, commenting, and being part of the show as well. So see you next time. Thanks so much. Take care.
Bye, guys.